So the iPhone 15 lineup has been out for a couple days now, and most people end up putting a case on their iPhones. But leave a comment down below. Are you somebody that immediately puts a case on their iPhone on day one that they get it? Do you kind of like to show off the actual look and aesthetic of the iPhone first and then eventually put a case on it? Or are you just no case whatsoever? I kind of fall in that second camp where I use my phone naked for about a week and then I put a case on it, but this year I decided to kind of dive in and go and get a bunch of cases to see which one I like the most. So in this video, I want to do my top 5 recommendations of iPhone 15 and 15 Pro Max cases, which again, I think are the best ones. And we're going to go from thinnest to thickest with multifunction to everything in between and different build materials. So let's get into it. So I actually want to start with a new leather case that I have. Now this is by a company called Andar. I've used them in the past before, ever since I think the iPhone 13, and they make very high quality premium leather materials. And the reason I wanted to start with this one is because some of Apple's most popular cases were those leather bound Apple cases that Apple would sell directly from their store. But Apple, because they wanted to be carbon neutral and because they wanted to make sure that their environmental initiatives are met, they decided to kind of get rid of the whole leather ecosystem or the whole leather category of products, at least directly from the Apple store. So Apple went and decided to create their fine woven cases, which are supposed to be kind of like a jean material, but a little bit too expensive for what they are. Now because of that, it leaves the door open for some other third-party companies to make some high-quality leather cases, and Andar does just that. So I have their black colorway here, and what I like about it is that you kind of forget, or you kind of take for granted, like the smell. The smell of actual real authentic leather or genuine leather is absolutely amazing. So this is genuine leather by Andar. They make a bunch of wallets and bags and things like that, but they also make iPhone cases for all the iPhones, right? Starting from, I believe, the iPhone 12 and newer. But this one fits perfectly with that titanium cover, the contrast between the natural titanium and the dark black. It smells amazing. It's gonna patina over time. They have the perfect cutouts on the bottom for the actual new USB-C port and the speakers. If you go right around the actual right side, you do get a little button for the actual hold button. On top, there isn't anything. And then depending on which case you go for, and this is something I'm going to be talking about throughout the video, some cases are deciding to actually put an actual kind of divot or the hole for that action button versus some other ones are actually putting a keycap on there. With Andar, they decided to leave a little hole on there, which is to each their own, or a little cutout for that actual action button, and then you have the volume rockers right underneath there. But still easy to access the actual action button. It does not get in the way, and I like to think I have some chubby fingers to begin with, so no issues whatsoever accessing that action button. And then it's a perfect, nice fit. It has a nice microfiber lining on the inside, and it's just a nice, well-made, premium leather case for your iPhone, which again gives you an alternative to what Apple no longer sells. And I'm not bringing these up in any particular order. These are just my favorite 5 cases that I've been able to test out since I got the new iPhone, but this one is the first one I used for the first day of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And all these cases will be linked down in the description below. So these next 2 cases that I'm going to bring up are by a company called Zeera, which I've mentioned in the past, and they're 2 different cases. The first one is for that person that I mentioned earlier that likes to show off their phone and the color of their phone, because again, natural titanium is a brand new color for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and also with the iPhone 15 lineup, we got a bunch of new colorways like the green, the blue, the pink, which people want to show off but still protect their phone. So Zeera created a nice Magsafe case, which is made of that TPU material. The sides of it are a little bit more malleable than the actual rear of it. It's kind of more of a hard shell on the rear, but still kind of can move and kind of flex a little bit to help with that impact. So with this clear Zeera case, you do get a nice lip for the camera. On the side, you get the same volume rockers and a little hole or the actual cutout for the action button. You get all perfect cutouts for the USB-C port, the speakers. You get another covered button for the actual hold button. You get the nice camera cutout, like I mentioned earlier. You have a lip on the front as well. And then, like I mentioned, it is a clear case. So whatever phone you put in there, you'll be able to clearly see what color you went with, and you'll still be able to show it off, and it still fits very comfortable in the hand. It's not too thick where it's annoying, but it's also thick enough where you know you are protected. And then of course you do have a MagSafe ring on there, which is outlined in white for some extra magnet strength. So overall, I think this is a great alternative to whatever Apple sells with their clear cases, and these are actually very well priced. And I had the same one for the 13 Pro Max, and it did not yellow over time, so something to consider, because people are saying that these clear cases do yellow over time. But this is a great one if you're trying to just show off the iPhone but still keep it protected. And then to stick with Zeera, what I like about this next case is that it's still very similar, where it kind of has a hard shell on the rear and a soft rubber side, but instead of it being clear, it does have some color. So the outside of it is in this dark black colorway, but then the rear of it is kind of this foggy black, so you can still somewhat see through it, but it's not, obviously it's not going to be clear. But what I like about this is that it gives you an even bigger camera bump, or a bigger lip to protect that camera, and it adds a little bit more function, because the MagSafe magnets on the rear not only act as more strength for actual MagSafe products and MagSafe accessories, but it also opens up and acts like a stand. So if you are somebody that likes to have a multifunctional case, this is a little bit thicker than the plastic see-through one or the clear one that I mentioned earlier, but it does give you a little added protection, a little bit more firm, and again, like I mentioned, adds a little bit more functionality. And with this one, they actually decided to not do the cutout for the action button, but do an actual button cover. So again, to each their own. I haven't found a positive or negative for each one. Some people might think that the cutout, there isn't enough room for you to actually put your finger in there. Some other people might not like the fact that you have a cover on the actual action button itself. So you're gonna have to test them out yourself. I personally might like the cutout a little bit more, but that's just me. And now, if you want to stay in that leather category but go towards the vegan leather side, this is a great option for you, and this is by a company called Moft. Now, Moft is known for making those origami-style Apple accessories where you can kind of create a table out of just a couple of folded pieces of cardboard that they create, which is very premiumly made. And they actually have a little ecosystem. I'm not going to go into the ecosystem quite yet because we do have another video talking about Magsafe accessories and Magsafe wallets and things like that, which I will mention the Moft kind of ecosystem in that video. But this one, I just wanted to mention the case. First of all, the case color is really nice. It kind of is made to meet that kind of natural titanium look. It's kind of like this very soft grayish beige color, which I really like. And it is that vegan leather material, so it does feel nice to the touch. It should patina well over time as well. But in terms of the cutouts, you have the same cutouts on the bottom for the USB-C and the speakers, except these speaker ones are a little bit bigger, again, to accommodate for another accessory that they have, which again we'll show on in a later video. But if you go along the side, it's actually a little bit different because we actually have some metallic buttons on the side. So you have the metallic hold button, you have the volume rocker on the left and right, you have the volume rocker, and then you also have a covered action button. So again, something to consider, which I actually like this one because the build quality is so strong. And then on the top, obviously nothing. We get a nice kind of hard lip for the actual camera bump, enough cover for the actual screen itself so you don't have the screen kind of just laying flat on whatever surface you put it on. And I really like how both it is malleable, it moves around, but also is very protective and relatively thin at the same time. And the actual inside of it is made out of this really nice microfiber lining, even more so than the ones previously mentioned. And it does have some MagSafe magnets already built in there to add some extra magnet strength. So if you want to go for the vegan leather and you want to be part of the Moft ecosystem, then this is a great option for you as well because, you know, the magnets just work great and it's very minimal branding. So again, I'm trying to show off everything for everybody. And then the last one that I want to mention is probably the one that I'm going to be using the most. And again, I've been using Pitaka cases for the longest time because in my opinion, I just like having the thinnest case possible while still protecting the phone. And I do like things like the Andar case because it is premium leather and I actually used it this past weekend alongside the Andar wallet and it was a great combination. But there's something about having this thin case. So this is the MAgEZ 4, this is our 4th iteration, and it's just an extremely thin case made by Pitaka. It's made out of aramid fiber. So it kind of has that carbon fiber look and feel to it. It is a very rigid case. The rear of it still has some extra MagSafe magnets to give you some extra magnetization, but it doesn't have cutouts because it's actually kind of machined, so it doesn't need the cutouts, but it kind of just goes around it. And I consider this more of a heavy-duty skin more than anything, and for me that's enough because obviously it'll protect against some drops. I've dropped my phone in Pitaka cases before. You know, I wouldn't kind of compare it to maybe some of the other cases we mentioned, but from like a thinness to protection ratio, this thing is pretty much unmatched. And then again, it's very, very rigid, especially in the rear. It's got a nice lip on here for the actual camera bump itself. And then also it does give you enough of a lip where the actual screen will not be touching a surface as long as that surface is flat. This is probably the one that I'm going to use the most, but again, that's just me kind of thinking ahead of the game because, again, I just like these cases and how thin they are so much. But those are my early takes on the top 5 iPhone 15 and 15 Pro cases that I've been using. The Andar one is one of my favorite ones. The Pitaka one is one of the ones that I'm going to be using the most, but they each have their own purpose. Like I said, the Zeera one has a multifunction use or the clear version so you can keep that aesthetic, and then the Moft has their own little ecosystem you can play with. Again, they're all very affordable. They all will protect your phone extremely well. At this point, it's just a matter of what you like the most, what kind of aesthetic you like. Do you like it ultra thin? Do you don't mind the extra thickness to get a little bit more protection? So let me know in the comment down below what you think. You know, which case out of these 5 would you go with? Or are you somebody that just doesn't rock a case at all? I tried to do the no case and only did a skin for a little bit of last year, and I kind of regretted that pretty much right away. But that's going to do it for this video, everybody. Definitely stay subscribed because we got a full review of the 15 and 15 Pros coming out. We have an early impressions video coming out as well, and some other stuff alongside of it. So if you guys want to watch some more iOS, macOS, or iPadOS videos, click on one of these right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando. I'm out of here. Comment what your favorite case was out of these top 5. Peace.